Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness. Welcome back, everyone, to the Women's Fitness Academy podcast. I am your host, Ellen. I am an educator for Women's Fitness Academy and also a binge eating and body image coach. And today I am here with a very, very special guest, someone that I know from Bondi, probably one of the first people I met when I moved here. And this guest and I, we actually connected through social media, which I feel like I get a lot of my friends from social media. But the amazing Jen Byles, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Excited.
Yeah, it's so good. This is your first ever podcast, right?
It's my first ever podcast. So, I'm excited to have a chat and share everything with everyone.
Yeah, definitely. So before we get into too much of what you're going through at the moment, can you just talk a little bit about yourself? Like you're obviously, are you the manager at Cube Gym or?
Yeah. So I'm general manager. Yeah.
So how like, where are you from? How old are you? What's your background in training?
I'll go into it. So I'm 37 years old now. So I'm pretty late coming into the fitness industry, I would say. I've only been, I think it's coming up 4 years now. That's, I suppose, later. It was later in my 30s. Before fitness, I worked in commercial real estate, so in the corporate world. And decided loved the people, but I just really wanted to help people. So I was going to a group training facility back then in Melbourne and I loved it. I had made some great friends. So I decided, hey, this could be something that's for me. So I looked into getting my Cert 3 and then I started managing the gym that I was going to. So quit my corporate job, started managing the gym, got my Cert 3. And then I ended up moving to Sydney because that whole pandemic happened in Melbourne and it wasn't as much fun. So, first things first, I started managing like an F45. Met some great friends there, really enjoyed my time there, and then moved over to the Northern Beaches only in May, where I started general manager of the Cube Gym, which is a really huge group training facility, but also PT, Pilates, so it's a big community, and that's what I really love is being able to get in there and help people.
Yeah, it's such a cool gym and it's massive space as well.
Yeah,
and like anyone who, like, even if they just check you out on social media, or if they see you walking down the street or anything, like they can see that you're like a really fit girl, you really push hard in the gym. And yeah, I guess that's why like I wanted to reach out to you from like when I first moved here as well. It's like, oh, this girl, she really she likes to train hard and she looks like she's someone who I would get along with.
Definitely. Well, you train hard, so I think that's why we get along. Yeah, get in there and get it done.
That's it. So yeah, you've obviously been in the fitness industry now for like almost 10 years and been training on and off. But earlier this year, you were faced with quite a difficult result from the doctors. Do you want to talk a little bit about that process?
Yeah, so I've always been active my whole life, I guess, really sporty, no health issues. Like I wouldn't say I've rarely been to the doctor. If anything, it's like physio from injuries or anything like that.
Can't relate to that.
So, yeah, I was actually in end of June this year, was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. So a huge shock, having no history in the family, no health problems prior. So definitely was not something I was prepared for. And that's something that I suppose you reaching out to want to talk about this is because I was so fit, so active. It comes to a shock, not just to me, but to everyone. It's like, well, how can it be? And also, I suppose, to raise awareness, like I didn't know the initial symptoms of breast cancer. We all get told it's a lump, but at my age, you're not really, I suppose at 37, you're not sort of checking, it's not on your radar of something that you should be looking for. Usually if you find a lump, you think, oh, it's a cyst or it's hormonal or it's something more to do with that, then I not even did it cross my mind, like the word breast cancer come to mind.
Yeah,
so
of course.
yeah, so it was and the biggest thing for me is I didn't feel different. Like a lot of people even now say, oh, you don't look sick, you still look so. It's like I don't feel any different. So I suppose if you want me, I can go into what the symptoms were.
And also what is that kind of cancer? Because there's a few different ones, right?
Yeah. So it started last year, so probably around this time actually last year. We're in lockdown, sort of coming into sort of the summer months, so obviously we're out and about more. I felt on a couple of occasions like a sharp pain in my left breast. So it was like not like a pain like a muscle soreness or anything. It was a sharp pain that lasted for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And it was something that I was like, oh, that feels a bit odd. And, I remember speaking to girlfriends because another girlfriend was having a cyst removed. And she's like, oh, you should go get that checked, like maybe. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Back last year, if you remember, like doctor's appointments, they were all like Zoom or they had to do telehealth. Not a lot of doctors would want to see you face to face.
Yeah, and you'd have to go and get a test first, and then you have to wait 2 days to get your results. It was
just one of those, oh, it'll be fine. And then it was probably like March or so, I started to feel, notice a lump. Didn't really pay. It's just a cyst. It's just hormonal. Like, it'll be fine. Then it started to get like bigger, and it started to get quite painful in the fact where in the gym, say if you had to do anything where I had to lay on my chest. So I was coaching at that time, and I remember having to like go through warm up where you're doing like scorpions or like hand release push-ups. Anything on my chest was really quite painful. Oh, wow. So it was at that point, in June, I made the doctor's appointment. So I just moved to the Northern Beaches. So it was a new doctor. Went and saw her, she did a check, and then she gave me a referral to a mammogram and an ultrasound. Me being me, something else came up. The dog got sick, so I didn't go to the mammogram until probably 2-3 weeks later, because it was an initial outlay of cost that a chunk at the start, even though you got money back. But I was just like,
that's not covered by Medicare or anything.
It's covered, but you still had to pay an upfront cost.
Oh, right.
So for the mammogram, I think, and ultrasound alone, it was something like $500. And then when I was sitting there, they said, oh, we should take a biopsy today. So the biopsy, I think, cost me an extra $200 or $250 when I was there. So it was an outlay of $750, which, yes, I did get most back, but still that portion of money I had to lay out.
It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money for a lot of like young,
not many 20-year-olds would have been like, yeah, here you go.
Like young females living in like Bondi, Northern Beaches, like you don't have a lot of spare cash to throw around. And if you do, you're not going to spend it, like, unfortunately, on something like that. But anyway, got that. That was on a Tuesday. Pretty much by the Thursday, I had a missed call but didn't answer it. On the Friday, I had a call from the doctor saying, we need to see you today. I'd made an appointment the following week to go see them.
How did you feel in that moment?
Well, I remember calling my mum and just being like, I'm sure it's fine, but I'm a little bit worried because they've obviously called me in to come early. So it was a little bit in the back of my mind, like, it'll be fine, but I knew something wasn't obviously going to be good from that. But still, even then, I didn't think cancer. I honestly didn't think.
Oh, really?
No. And it wasn't until like it was a complete shock going in there. And like I went alone, went and sat there, and to be told, so at that stage, they had just told me I had an invasive carcinoma, which, as you can imagine, like you're sitting there, I had no idea. I was in shock. I was like, okay, so it's cancer. She just went through, we have to make you an appointment with a specialist on Monday. So this happened on a Friday. It pretty much the whole month of July feels like a blur because it was just appointment, test after appointment, just rolling into one. So when I first went to the surgical oncologist, because that's where you start. So I learned all of this. You have like a medical team. So when you first get diagnosed, you'll usually get put onto a surgeon straight away, and then they will assess it from there. So pretty much the first week I had a doctor's appointment. I had an MRI. I had another ultrasound, another biopsy of my axillary nodes, which are like your lymph nodes underneath your armpit. Then I had a PET scan. PET scan is similar to a CT scan, but it's where they put the dye through your body and then put you in the machine, and anything that's cancerous or other will glow. So from that first week, they just said to me, we think we've caught it early. It's just stage 2, possibly stage 3. So we're going to need you to have like your chemo. Like chemo is going to be pretty much the main part of treatment, and we're going to do it because you're young, you're fit, you're healthy. Your body can, I suppose, afford to take on that higher load of toxicity. What they're trying to do is obviously kill it. And as we know with chemo, what it not only kills the cancer cells, it also kills the healthy cells. So that's why people get so sick. So that was in the first week that I was told that. A whole heap of tests happen from there. So there's a lot of like clinical trials, which is really great here in Australia. We have lots of trials of different drugs. So whether you if you get onto that trial, is great because you get, not more treatment, but you get, your care, because they want to make sure, the trial is working. So I was possibly eligible for a trial of a new immunotherapy drug.
How do they choose who gets to go on the trial?
You have to have really set criteria to be on a trial. So mine was like the right type of cancer, the right size, I was the right age. So it was all looking good to get on this trial. The one factor though, they came back with the PET scan. And with the PET scan, like I said, cancer cells glow. They noticed on my hip and my spine, on my bones, that it was slightly glowing, but they weren't quite 100% sure. So what that meant is to be on this trial, they had to make sure, because otherwise, they can't have anything in between. So I had to go have a bone biopsy. So that in itself, like I said, never been to hospital. To go into hospital, the actual procedure, like a lot of people said, oh, you must hurt. Well, clearly I didn't feel it because they put that much local in my butt, in my left butt cheek. But what that left is my leg didn't move for nearly up to 12 hours because they had put that much local in it.
Oh my God, that would have been so scary.
So that was scary because I was never been to hospital, and they're like, we have to keep you overnight because we can't let you leave until we know. Yeah. So that was pretty, that was a big sort of wake up, that this is sort of real. Like you don't just take bone biopsies just because. And then, so that again was on a Friday. I got the call I had an appointment on the Wednesday when they came back with the results. And this is, I suppose, the changing moment where I was sat down. They said, well, they literally didn't expect it, but the bone biopsy came back positive for cancer. So that means that I went from what they call a stage 3, stage 3 is where it's only just spread slightly outside where the original cancer cells were. Well, this has gone for my breast. The cancer cells have now gone down into my hip and my spine. So that means metastatic is what they call it now, but it's stage 4. So a lot of people would know it as stage 4. So stage 4 is there is no cure currently. There's no cure. It means that they can't get rid of the cancer completely from my body. It means that my whole treatment would change. So initially in those early stages, they think chemotherapy because they'll just go in and they'll kill it at the site, and then they'll, remove whatever cells might be left, like dead cells. But because mine's now spread to my hip and my spine, the treatment changes. So, and all through this, like I feel fine. Like I feel totally fine. I would have no idea if they didn't do that PET scan. I would have no idea. And that's also something to point out with, you know, technology now, is that they never used to do these PET scans. It used to be just a CT scan. So with that, they wouldn't have picked this up. They would have treated me as a stage 2 or 3 chemo, and then that wouldn't have probably completely killed everything. I just would have got really, really sick. So yeah, modern technologies. Yeah. And at the time it felt like the process was really slow, although everything was happening quite fast, as in it felt like, oh gosh, another test, I've got to wait another 3 days for a result. But in hindsight, looking back, like they do everything they can to make sure they come out of it, you come out with the right treatment that's right for you. So yeah, it was a whirlwind of, you know, 4 weeks. Yeah.
What was going through your head, like sitting there waiting for the test results?
The best description is, and even to a point now, is that I feel still pretty numb.
Yeah.
Numb. Like I and people like, you're doing so well. You think it's like, me as a person, I don't know what am I supposed to be meant to do? Like it's just, I'll just sort of get on with it. It's like, yeah, it's like, you know, I still feel good. So I still, you know, look good. So why not, you know, I'm trying to. And I suppose that's also something that just as human beings we crave, that, you know, routine and, you know, a bit of control. That's one thing I feel probably the hardest thing is the lack of control, I should say, is, you know, you're being told, oh, you need to go to an appointment here. You need to take this. You need to do this. Like all of it now, your whole life revolves around cancer. Like it's, you know, it's not something... Yeah, I never thought I would, not a million years would I ever think I'd be sitting in this position. No.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine being like getting that diagnosis. It must be just like, I understand how you feel, like that you feel numb, because I think that's a big like a response, like a defense mechanism kind of from the body to just like, this is just too much. I can't deal with it right now. And also because you are so well, like we just went to your big like at the fundraiser that your gym held a few weeks ago, and like you were jumping around so happy, like talking to everyone, doing the workout, smashing it as always. Like there's not in a million years I would have looked at you and be like, she has cancer. Like
yeah. And I suppose this is where I would love to, I suppose, educate people more, because the one thing that I have found is obviously young fit women out there who are getting diagnosed, unfortunately, like younger and younger with you know, metastatic disease. So whether it's you know, whether it's breast cancer or cervical cancer, you know, there's a lot more I'm finding in younger females that are fit and healthy. So I suppose it just shows that it really doesn't discriminate. But there are obviously benefits of that, the fact that I am fit and strong, because it means that I will be well supported through treatment. So
yeah, for sure. So does this mean that you have to get treatment now for the rest of your life?
Yes. So I know, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people are still like to wrap their head around. So the cancer I have, this metastatic or stage 4, means that it's ongoing treatment. So obviously I'm on treatment now. I'm on my about to start my 3rd month. So with breast cancer, you can have there's 3 types. Obviously mine is estrogen positive, which means that, well, as we know, males and females produce estrogen. My cancer grew fed off estrogen, which in itself is like so like mind-blowing, is that the human body is, as a female, my own body was working against me to make this cancer grow. So my growth was at it was at a 60% growth rate. So it was growing very fast.
Wow.
So if anyone knows a cancer cell, they don't know when to switch off. So that's why they grow. The cells just keep doubling and doubling and doubling and doubling.
Oh.
So what they've done, so with the estrogen, they pretty much have, I suppose, gotten rid of it from my body. So at 37, I've been put into early menopause.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
Have you noticed like any changes in your mood, sex drive, stuff like that?
All of it. I'm a 37-year-old menopausal woman. Like, no joke. I probably tried. Like, so yeah, mood swings. The first 5 nights of my treatment, the hot flushes, like I honestly felt like I was on fire, and I was sweating, like the night sweats. I was so sweaty.
Oh my God.
And even now, like I'll just be sitting and I'll be like, oh geez, I'm really warm, and then I realize, oh yeah, that's a hot flush. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So coming from that, I'm on treatment. So I'm on treatment for that. So they have to, I suppose, induce menopause into me. Yeah. So I get an injection called Zoladex every month, which suppresses my ovaries. So my ovaries no longer produce estrogen. And then also, obviously, in your adrenals, they shut down my estrogen, which is through a tablet every night. So every day I have to take a tablet. So as you know, what estrogen does for your body, so that's obviously been taken away. So main side effects are obviously like achy joints. I've noticed like achy knees, achy hips. They're probably the big ones, other than the old night sweats and hot flushes. But that's probably the main two with that. So I take a tablet, and then I also take another injection. I get another injection once a month called Xgeva, which is for bone density. So it counteracts. So they want to make my bones really, really strong, because obviously I have cancer in my bones.
Yeah.
So they want to make them really strong, so then the cancer can't spread anymore. But also on the flip side, the side effects of the drugs I'm taking for the estrogen is brittle bones. So it's like counterintuitive. You got to have one. You can't have one without the other.
Amazing that they can do that, though.
Oh, it's so amazing. And I was even explaining, so I had to go get bloods taken today. And the lady asked me, the lady taking my bloods, she said, oh, so you on chemotherapy? And I said, no, I'm on what's called targeted therapy. And even she's like, oh, I haven't heard of that before. And so it is really a newer style of drug that I'm taking for the cancer. So it's an oral therapy. So I take tablets, 3 weeks on, 1 week off. So the benefit is that I can, live a pretty relatively normal life. I don't have to go into hospital every week, for treatment. I can do treatment from home. So, and that's one of the things, I suppose, with Metastatic that they're trying to improve is obviously your, quality of life, because at this stage, you don't want to talk about time frames, but they haven't sort of given, you can ask the question, but like I said, there is no cure. So I'm going to be on some form of treatment forever. So they start off with what's called, I'm on my first line of treatment. So the only way I will change from this is, say, down the track, my body starts not responding to this treatment, they'll switch me to something else. So chemo could be a possibility down the track.
I was just going to ask, would it ever be on that? Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, the garbage. Say if it gets out of control, which hopefully it doesn't, they may need to put chemo in for a short stint to try and control it. But that's why I'm having such regular tests, like blood tests and doctor's appointment, and I have this PET scan. I'll have one of those every 3 months. So it's a lot, though. It's a lot, yeah.
Absolutely insane. And what about, I can imagine a lot of listeners, can you can you have kids?
No, not biological.
Yeah.
So that's I suppose something I probably haven't even unpacked myself yet. It's, the fact that from going into menopause, pretty much, and even surrogates, like for me holding a child, I can't because of the estrogen and stuff needed. So that in itself, I suppose, is something that isn't spoken about a lot either, with people, young females and, this type of cancer, because having to go into early menopause means I wasn't even, there's obviously backtrack from that. I did go initially in the first week or 2 weeks when I found out. I did go in and have an IVF consultation, because at that stage I wasn't stage 4 and we were going to rush through and do IVF and freeze eggs. There was a window to do that. And then I was pretty much told, the same appointment where I was told it was in my bones, my doctor said, you're pretty much putting your own life at risk. You go and do this, because with IVF they inject you with estrogen to build. So I'd literally be injecting myself with something that is causing my cancer to grow. So it's just, I'm still learning so much myself. I'm just, now I'm in my second month of treatment. It's trying to get back into that routine and control, and really, when I say control, like controlling the things I can. So one of those is my training, my diet, the things that my sleep, all of those things, which, we are humans, we love that routine. I'm really trying to be a stickler to those, because it's making me feel better knowing that I have some control over things.
Yeah, of course. And like, I just think that you're so strong for being able to take this, like, hearing something like this, and like you're diagnosed with something that there's no cure for at the moment. Like, hopefully there will be soon. Like, there's so much research, and I know there's so much money going into especially breast cancer as well. And I really hope so. But it's just like, you had every chance to just be like, okay, life's fucked. Like, this is something that there's no cure for. You could have just like laid down. Like, there's so many people who are just taking this as a reason to like give up on life and just eat shit and do whatever, because they're like, I'm not gonna live anywhere, blah blah. Like, how did you do that? Like, how did you not do that? Like, lay down and just feel like, fuck this.
I think I've always been a pretty resilient person. Like, I've moved states on my, I'm quite independent and strong that way. Don't get me wrong, there's been times during this where it has been really, really hard. I think the biggest thing for me, which people might think silly, is having to take the tablet every day, because that's something that, it's like, fuck, I just want to enjoy myself. I don't want to have to, I want to be spontaneous and go off somewhere and do things, but if I don't have my tablets, I need them. So
the constant reminder.
It's not like forgetting the pill, or it's not like forgetting, your toothbrush or something like that. I can't just go to the shop and pick them up. So I think that, but I don't think it's ever been in my nature or my mindset to ever just give up and, not keep on doing it. And that's why I kind of say, it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I don't know anything different than getting up and just getting on with it. And it, if I'm riding the wave now, and I think it's definitely put in perspective what's important in life. And, we all, even for yourself, I know you're making that decision about moving soon. And it's like, life's too short to not do, what you love. And a lot of people say, oh, I can't afford it. Like, it's like, some things don't require money to be able to do it. And even if they do, it's like, you don't want to sit there and think, oh, I should have done it. Like, I wish I had traveled earlier. But now it's like, well, now I have a reason. I said, I need to do those things because I said I want to do them. So, it's definitely put life into perspective. I can't even say it. Exactly. But I think it's just, I can't even explain it, because exactly that, people say you're looking so good. And it's like, well, I don't know what I should look like. Obviously, I've shaved my head, but that was a big change. Yeah. But that for me, again, I was told that I was going to have chemotherapy. So I was just like, that's okay. I'll just shave my head. It doesn't matter.
Even just doing that is like massive.
Yeah.
Like I know this cannot compare at all, but as you know, like I just had my extensions out like a few weeks ago, and I took them out and I was like, oh, I feel so ugly. And like that was like nothing, and just such a vain thing. And I was thinking, like, Ellen, fucking shut up. Like, you literally cannot complain. You put yourself in this position. Like, look at Jen, she's rocking a shaved head and she's stunning. Like, stop crying.
I think it's all relative though. Like, I can relate. Like, then you know, even as girlfriends and stuff like that, if something happened, like if I have to put myself back in their shoes, so to speak, if I was told that they were sick or unwell, how would I react? And for a lot of people as well, and I totally get that a lot of people just don't know what to say. That's okay as well. It's like, you know, not every gosh, we don't come across it. Like, that's why I'm, I suppose, trying to change that narrative of how we can be so open with how we're feeling. And I suppose one thing I want to touch on is the whole people like, just be positive, it'll be okay type thing. I think a reality check for people is like, just let people sometimes feel like shit, and that's also okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So even like, and I say not just my situation, but in any situation where we think, oh, we must be positive because that's the only way. It's like, you can, like, I know I'm positive, but I'm also allowed to say this is really fucking shit. Like, and I don't want to do it today. And that's okay as well. And that's life. It's like, it might be for the same for yourself. It's like, I just don't want to do it today, and that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that a lot of, like, saying that someone is like, you're so positive all the time, you're so happy all the time, like, yeah, that is a nice thing to say.
Yeah.
Also, when you are the person on the receiving end who always hears you're so positive, you're so happy, you're so strong, it's like when you're not strong, happy, positive, then you feel like shit because you feel like I'm not living up to my identity anymore.
Yeah, I feel you 100% with that. So that's also, trying to understand, and I know it shouldn't be most to understand people where they're coming from. I think some people, which I'm learning, is some people just don't know what to say or don't know how to react, and that is an easy coping mechanism, not for you but for them. If they feel like they're positive and they think you're positive, then that helps them feel better. And I'm trying to get used to that sometimes, like, that's just how they need to be, and if that's how they want to be, then I'll allow it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everyone's always just, they're trying to be acting from like a positive intention, I guess. But what is like something that you have appreciated from your friends and family? Like, what is something that, if you know someone who has been diagnosed with cancer or going through something really hard, like, how can you best support those people?
Yeah, it's interesting because I've obviously I'm so grateful. I've got a huge, I suppose, network of friends, which I sometimes didn't realize I had that many, like, people around me to support me. For me, it's the little things. It's like, you know, a girlfriend, just rather than saying, how are you? It's like, how'd you sleep? Being a bit more specific with things, or, you know, a cup of coffee without even, you know, asking, or food, just those little things. Recently I went away with some friends and they took me away for the weekend, because, you know, for them, they couldn't donate money, but for them to give me a weekend away as an experience type thing. So I think also with friends, I've been quite good at, like, setting my boundaries as well, what I can and can't take, in terms of, you know, meeting in the middle with them as well. Because I know it's not, like, I do have to think about myself, which is sometimes hard, about being a bit, you know, more selfish. It's not even selfish. It's just like, I have to put myself first.
We should be selfish. We all should be selfish.
Yeah, we should be. But yeah, I think it's setting those boundaries with our intentions of what we need. And the one thing was, which I've said to my friends, is like that you don't always have to be the positive person type thing. Like I think that's kind of helped me as well. So I have, and that's just my personality. I've really loved it when people have come up and said, you know what, Jen, it's really shit. It's just really shit news. And I'm like, thank you. It is. Yeah. So it's it's the little things I think that have helped me. It can get a little bit overwhelming and daunting when everyone's like checking in on you, how you're feeling and stuff like that. So a big thing for me, if anyone, I made a group chat with all of because I've obviously got friends in Adelaide, friends in Melbourne, friends here. So I put everyone in a big WhatsApp chat and just did one big update. And then, that way, otherwise I felt like I was having to, reach out to so many people. And I know I don't have to, but my initial is like, I need to talk to this person, that person, this person.
Of course.
So
that's a really good idea, actually, instead of having to send the same story to 15 people.
Yeah, so I've just got a little support crew, WhatsApp chat, so I can just sort of put it all in one place. And obviously I'm not saying to my friends don't message me individually.
No.
It's just like for big updates.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm going to have another scan soon, so I'll probably update everyone in that rather than individually as well.
And I've seen you've been really active on your social media as well, with posting and doing videos and stuff like that, and explaining. And I think I found that so helpful because normal people don't have a clue. I just thought it was one type of cancer and that's the same, everyone got the same thing in the breast. But what's the feedback been on that?
It's been the amount of comments and, like I said, people reaching out has been, I don't know, it just makes me in a way I'm really proud that I've built a community that's so supportive and so genuine, and I think that's just how I am as a person, as in sharing this. Like you say, it's really easy for me to talk openly about it, and whether that's probably also for me, it helps me digest what is actually going on. And also, looking at on the other foot, if someone I don't know half of these things as well. I'm still learning. So that's one thing that I do plan to do, more videos and more updates for people, because it's much easier for people to understand rather than just reading it or seeing it. Actually me speaking about it, I think is a lot more powerful in being able to, I suppose, share, because, I've looked on Facebook and I still can't find a decent support group for women under 40 with metastatic breast cancer. They were either, so that's something maybe I'll start it myself. Who knows?
Well, you know what? You're the right person for it. No, it's been so nice to see. I remember when you told me before you kind of made a big post and stuff about it, and I obviously I was sad and I was really worried about you, but I just knew because of who you are that you would you'll be able to get through this. I know that you're so strong, and you don't have to be positive and strong every single day, but I know that that's your core.
Yeah.
But we're all going to have shit days as well. That's fine.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's, I know that in a way, I know it's all going to be fine. I'm not but I'm also not, I don't know, it's in a weird way, I'm not worried or scared about what the future holds, because I know that I'm going to make the most of, especially now, make the most of everything. So, obviously within reason, but definitely going to start writing out my bucket list for travel and, things I want to do, things that I probably thought I could, wait and do later. It's why wait? Do them now. So, it's definitely changed my mindset in that sense.
What are some of the things that are on your bucket list?
Well, I've recently, definitely Italy. I've never been, so I definitely want to go.
You'd love the food there. I can imagine you there.
Yeah. So anywhere warm. So let's just say that anywhere warm where it's above, say 20, doesn't get below 20 degrees. I'm sort of there at nighttime, that is. I want to go swimming with the whale sharks over in WA. Definitely some more like outdoor adventure type things. Unfortunately, there's turf games coming up soon, which I would have loved to have done with the team, but I haven't been training enough recently. I've been training, but not enough for that. So who knows? Next year I might put some little fitness goals up and about, but I haven't made my decision just yet.
Oh, they sound really good though. I love all the traveling and getting around, trying new things. And
Bali.
Bali, yes, talk to me. No, I love that you're not letting something like this hold you back, and that you are still really making the most of it, because I think that's the way you're gonna have, like, this is how we all should be thinking. Like, we're all here on like a kind of like a borrowed time, sort of. Like, I could leave my apartment today and get hit by a car and die. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, because a lot of people said, I know it sounds small, but any of us could die at any moment.
Yeah.
It's mine has been, it's something that has been laid in front of me, where it's kind of like in the back of my mind, like not a due date or anything like that, but it's kind of does put that. But if we all lived at that exact mindset, we'd be doing a lot more things than probably what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. And kind of like, I think that a lot of people are so stressed, and they're just like going from day to day, and they're like, oh my god, how is it already Thursday? Like, what have I done this week? Because we're just so living in the future and thinking about all the things that we don't have and all the things that we haven't done yet, that we forget to just appreciate what we actually have in front of us. So I can imagine something like this would really be like a wake-up call, like fucking wake up and start appreciating in your life right now.
Yeah, 100%. It's still a different thing to get your head around, but yeah, definitely making the most of, but even just the most of like the little mundane things. In like I said, just getting back to routine has been really nice. So it's appreciating, all the big things, but the little moments in between as well.
Yeah, love that. So what's next for you? What's next on the agenda?
Next on the agenda, it's my birthday coming up soon. So gonna celebrate with a week in Byron.
Ooh, very nice.
Get some sunshine. I'm actually looking at joining Surf Lifesaving Club again.
No way, that's so cool.
Something I did as a teenager, and I've sort of had it on my list of things to do. And I was actually going to do it before I got diagnosed. And then when I got diagnosed, I was just like, oh, I don't want to commit to anything because I'm not sure. But now we sort of know where it's at. There's some people at the gym who are members. So hopefully going to get involved there. So a new community to get involved with. But, I'm excited about getting back down the beach on a regular basis. And, just things like that, which, I probably would be like whatever, but I really want to, have a dig this year.
Oh, I love that. I just love that you're so like, no, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. And like, you're not letting anything hold you back.
No.
And obviously,
while I'm still, fit and able, I'm definitely, like I said, going to make the most of that, because I suppose that's the one thing I don't know. Like, I have these 3 monthly checks. So until, just like I said, ride the wave until we have that one. If that's all good, then we just ride another 3 months and then keep going that way.
So when is your next check?
I will have next month. So October, I'll have my 3-month scans, and then it'll be every 3 months after that. So I have a bloods and doctor's appointment every month. So they have certain biomarkers that they check in my bloods each time. And then every 3 months is the PET scan. So the PET scan is the one that I had at the start, that's like the CT scan, but the dye through. Hopefully from that we will see. What we're hoping for, I suppose, is that the tumour, I definitely know the tumour in my breast from the treatment has I suppose shrunk. I can't feel it.
Oh, really? You can tell already?
Yeah, it was getting quite hard and sore, but it's shrunk, and then hopefully we'll see just that it's stabilised, that it hasn't spread anymore, that it's just where it should be.
Oh, that's great.
It shouldn't be there at all, but you know what I mean.
There was never talk about having like surgery to get it removed?
No, so the surgery wasn't where it was and the size of it. So when I was first diagnosed, it was a 4 by 3 centimeter lump.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I know.
That's
So
huge.
so when I went into the doctor, first I met with a surgical oncologist, and he said, because I'd been to the GP and she gave me the diet, he said, so what do you remember? Because clearly he would have said, he would have known that I probably didn't remember much. And I said, oh, I know that I've got a invasive carcinoma. And he said, how big do you think it is? And I was like, oh, like this big, like, 2 by 2. And he's like, no, it's like 4 by 3. So like more like this. So, and I could, you could start to see it actually in my breast. So they were never going to do, even if it was stage 2 or 3, they were never going to do surgery first. They were going to do chemo to shrink it, and then they would possibly do surgery at the end to remove any I suppose cells that may still be there. Yeah, but now surgery, because it's like I said, it's in my hip, my spine. I didn't actually say it's actually also, I got it also in my lymph nodes in my chest as well. So it's now in 3 spots. So there's surgery isn't, I suppose, necessary unless it was like, because if there's no point removing it from the breast because it's still in the lung, like the lung lymph nodes, and it's still in the bones. So that's why surgery. And this is all this stuff which also I didn't know. Like there's so many different variables to treatment. It's not just this way or that way. There's so many different factors. And that's why they do all the tests. So another test I didn't say that I had was a lung lymph node like biopsy. So I was asleep for that one because they put a tube up your nose, down your throat.
Oh,
yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. So like I said, I have not been poked and prodded in a hospital ever. So it was a very different experience.
Whole new experience for you.
Yeah.
God, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, it's been so nice to have you on, and thank you so much for being so open with everything. If people want to get in contact with you, do you still have your GoFundMe page?
Yes, we still we're at over 90% of what we had hoped for. So so I've got a GoFundMe page which was set up by my girlfriends. Initially it was to cover like big medical costs, which will be still the case, but it's now obviously ongoing. So we don't know what treatment I may need in the future. So it's kind of like a little safeguard for me if anything major comes up. And obviously ongoing treatments, I've got to pay for medication every month. So
I actually think it's insane that Australia doesn't pay for that.
Yeah, well, a lot of it, I didn't. So the drug that I'm on for the cancer is actually subsidized by the PBS. So I pay $40. It costs for 1 month. It's $5,500.
What?
So it does get subsidized. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Blew my mind when they told me that. So I carry those tablets very carefully around with me.
Oh. What in my car?
Yeah, I know, it's insane. So this is like this. So if this drug has only been covered by the PBS for the last, I think, 6 months. So it was on a clinical trial to start, and then now only, I should mention, this is only a drug used in only stage 4 at this stage. They're trialing it now in stage 3, and hopefully that can then get on the PBS, which means people will be able to afford to use it. Because right now, if someone wanted it, they wouldn't be able to afford it. And if they can, good on them.
God, who can afford that? That is absolutely
that's per month. Yeah. So 21, because it's I take 3 tablets. The packet costs $5,500, but I don't pay that. I pay.
Thank God.
I know. I would not be on that drug if it's that much. Let's just say that.
Is absolutely insane. I had no idea. I can't believe that.
Anyway, so the GoFundMe page is the best place. I know. Trying to post some video updates on there for everyone to see what's going on, because I suppose we'll just keep the GoFundMe there, I suppose, forever. It's just kind of a little thing.
Yeah, it's been so nice to see like the whole community just getting around you, and like every time especially when I was away, when I first found out, like every time someone shared something, I was always like, oh, tearing up. It's just so nice to see
Yeah.
how nice people actually can be, because there's so much like evil and awful things happening in the world. So sometimes it's just nice to see that it's actually good people out there.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, the community we're in, the fitness community, really rally behind their own.
Yeah.
And they really get behind anyone that they know or have seen, you know, and all the, you know, it's not competition, it's not gym against gym. It's like everyone work together for one cause. It's really nice to see.
Love that. So nice. Well, we'll tag your Instagram below as well. So guys, if you want to read more about Jen's story or hear about it or reach out to her, just make sure to go there. If you like this episode, please make sure that you screenshot it, you tag Jen, you tag myself, you tag Women's Fitness Academy. And yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts and connect with you. And Jen, thank you again so much for coming on. It's been so interesting, and I'm hoping that it's helped a lot of people. I'm sure it will. Definitely, I've definitely learned a lot. Didn't know.
Thanks so much for having me. It was fun.
Of course. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks everyone for listening. Bye.